Jessica, welcome to the Leaders Who Care series.
Thank you. Great to be here.
It's
Good to
great
see
to
you
have
again,
you
Mark.
here. It's going to be my happy time from a very busy day, so this will be my happy time. We'll let the paparazzis know that when this comes out, and then you'll be inundated with people in front of your house and all sorts of things like that, right?
In the future, I mean, they're already here, so we'll just add
Well, they're
more
already there.
paparazzi.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's good to know. Well, the best place to start is if you could briefly introduce yourself. And the question isn't what you do. The question is, where are you from originally? Where you are now? What do you feel comfortable talking about your family and stuff? Maybe something you've never even revealed. You want to reveal it to the world now. Stuff like that's good
Mhm.
too. Just share a little bit about you.
Amazing. I would love to. Thank you for having me. So my background, so generally where I start with my introduction is where I've started every time I've introduced myself for the last 12 years. And I was at Microsoft for 13 years.
No, no.
And
I'm going to
I
time you
know,
out. I'm going to time you out. Um, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
yeah.
Um, where are you from originally?
Well, so from Seattle, Washington,
Okay.
actually Bothell, Washington, a small town outside of Seattle.
Called.
And I grew up blue collar. I grew up playing sports, played all sports growing up, and then stuck with softball, played softball in college, and went to Iowa to play softball. It was actually Drake University, a small school in Iowa. Moved down to Florida for 6 months during the end of the dot com bubble in, what was it, 2000? And it was when you join a dot com, they're like, you can live anywhere. Where do you want to live? And we'll help you move and all that stuff. So moved down to Tampa, worked for a dot com for 3 months, moved to a different dot com for 3 months. And this was after I dropped out of college. So I didn't have a college degree, just started working at dot coms and loved it, but also ran out of money. There was no money for the job that I was doing. So moved back home to Bothell, Washington, lived with my parents, and decided, okay, now I need to get a job. So I tried to find jobs, had a hard time getting hired. I couldn't even get a temp job, nothing. And eventually contacted one of my friends who worked at Microsoft, got a job at Microsoft. So that brings me to the work stuff, which we're not going to talk about right now.
Of course.
Um, yeah.
But thank you for sharing. That was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Um, well, with respect to that, do you have any siblings?
I do. I have a younger sister, older brother. So we're 18 months apart. They both live in this area, in the Seattle area-ish, Washington. Um, I have one child. He's just graduated high school as of last weekend. So
Awesome.
huge milestone. And then they each have multiple children. So my brother has 5 kids and my sister has 4 kids, and they all homeschool. So we have 9 homeschool kids in the family. And then my son, who did the opposite, went to private school and got the, formulaic traditional private school education. And then he's going off to University of Utah in August.
Well,
So,
Utah's pretty nice. Yeah, that's fascinating. I have 3 boys and now a bonus daughter actually and they did homeschool. They did schools just for actors and sports people, and then they did and
mm,
regular schools and whatnot. And they all have each of their own pros and cons type of deal. But it's fascinating the how it impacts like anything when you're growing up, how it impacts the rest of your life one way or another.
mm,
With all that homeschool around you, what made you decide not to?
not to homeschool. It never even popped into my mind. It wasn't part of our growing up. I don't even know how my brother and sister both landed on it. Although they do both have like deep Christian faith. That was never part of our household. They just kind of got into it one way or another in life. And so, and I've never even had this conversation with them on whether it was the church that, like
Mhm.
told them to bring homeschool into their family or what. I know there's a relationship there.
Hmm.
Um, but that was never part of, yeah, that was just, that wasn't part of our growing up. I didn't rebel against it. They kind of moved towards it. And then my son's father is 100% Italian. So he's uh, from northern Italy. And in Italy, part of his upbringing was to get ahead in life, you go to private school. And so that was always, when Jordy was born, that was kind of like a given for him, was that my child is going to go to private school. And so that's kind of how Jordy ended up in private school. I went to Bothell High School, just like normal blue collar upbringing.
Yep,
And
I get
and I
it.
was like, public school's fine, especially in our area. Our public schools are great. So let's just put him in public school. Um, his dad won. So he ended up going to private school.
Yeah, I went to public school too in Canada and whatnot, and it was fine kind of back then,
Uh-huh.
and you met different people, different perspectives, different everything. And I'm sure it
Yeah.
wasn't perfect because we kind of romanticize always the past anyway, but it was still pretty good. What were you like as a kid? You said you played sports. Was there anything you favored? Did you play sports? Did you play any musical instruments? What did you do when you were hanging out? By the way, my two younger boys are 17 months apart also.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah. It's a pretty good spread because you can still be friends and also have your own lives.
Exactly.
Um, well, I'm glad you asked about musical instruments because I was first chair French horn in fifth grade. So I'm pretty
Nice.
proud about that.
So do you
No,
wake everybody up in the morning? Do you do do you do
the the
the
reverie.
right?
No, no, no. That's about all of my musical talent is 1 year in elementary school playing the French horn. Um, a lot of I'm more of like a physical athlete versus the musical side, but sports, I played all sports all year round. I was addicted. I think at one time I was on 6 teams at once in elementary school. I mean, I'm undiagnosed ADD, ADHD, whatever that is, that kind of propels you to just be like hyper focused and energetic. That was me. And I put it into sports and um,
Did you have a favorite?
I would play until I got sick. And so it was my body's way of making me take a break basically
Yeah.
from sports. And so my mom would always say, "You're going to get sick. You're going to get sick." And then sure enough, I'd get sick and I'd have to take a week break and then I would go right back into it. So it was me ignoring my body from an early age.
Well, our bodies are very smart and they tell us a lot of things. Or it tells us a lot of things. There's no doubt about it. Did you have a favorite sport?
Softball for sure. Yeah. And we won the Little League World Series. Or sorry, we did not win that. That was, I wish. We won
Was it which?
this, yeah, we did not. We won the state championship in what was I? It was like 1990. So I was in sixth grade or something. And it was just so thrilling. And we got to travel to play. We were Washington state champs. So we got to play Hawaii and Idaho and Montana, and our families all camped because we didn't have the money for hotels. And then I won 2 more state championships in high school on my select team.
Nice.
And again, we were the Bad News Bears. We didn't have the funds for all the expensive equipment and uniforms. We had one uniform, which was basically sweat shorts with pinstripes on it, and a tank top, but we were good. We would win. We won the state championship twice and took fifth in nationals. So that was really. I think today, if lacrosse had existed back then, like girls lacrosse now is a lot more popular. I
Hmm.
think if it was around when I was growing up, I probably would have played lacrosse just because love softball. It's tough. We're getting dirty and scrapes and bruises. I would compete for the most bruises and scrapes on the team. And
Would you
if
slide
I
into
wasn't,
every base you could or what?
yes. And if you weren't winning, you would slide head first type of a thing. Um, and,
But lacrosse would have been more
but
physical
lacrosse
for
is a
you.
lot more, you're running. There's just a lot more physical
Did you ever
endurance.
did you ever ice skate?
No, not really.
Oh, you missed the number
No.
one. You missed the number one sport, the ice hockey, for God's sakes.
Hockey.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's
Maybe I bet in Canada, if I grew up in Canada, I could see myself doing that.
oh, for sure. Well, now there's a lot
Yeah.
of women playing hockey already too, so it's come on and type of thing. But
Hmm.
it is interesting. I always found it fascinating stuff we did, when we were kids, what the threat is to the future, and sports certainly we are impacted a ton by sports, whether it's individual or team sports, even more so. Good, the bad, and the ugly, even it goes further. In fact, I talk all the time about, when I talk to a lot of executives, how they tell me the one time the coach put them out on the ice or the field during a critical time of the game, and that's their foundation for their whole confidence the rest of their life. That one
Mm.
person, all it takes is one person to believe in you, as they say. So, how did you? Um, how did you decide what to get into at Drake, like education wise?
That's a great question because this really shaped a lot of my life. Was one moment where my uncle was a pharmacist and
Okay.
my grandma got sick on a family vacation. And I remember my uncle telling the doctor why she was sick because there was something to do with her medication where she fainted. We were at elevation and she fainted. And so he was telling the doctor, here, like on the intake, like, here's why she's sick. And the doctor was being educated by a pharmacist. And to me, that was pharmacists are smarter than doctors. And pharmacists, you only have to go to school for 6 years and you come out making good money. So to me, that was it. Like, I'm going to be a pharmacist because I'm going to be smarter than doctors. I only have to go to school for 6 years and I'm going to come out making really good money.
It makes total sense, doesn't it? If you're smarter than them and you make
Right?
more money for less time, I
Hmm.
mean, duh.
No brainer, right? No
Yeah.
brainer. Yeah. Yeah. So I did 4 years of pharmacy school and it was a 6 year program, but I quickly realized that it, I wasn't it wasn't everything that I expected it to be. And I loved studying it. I loved studying the human body. I loved learning about all of that. I didn't like working in a pharmacy and counting pills 5 by 5 by 5 by 5. And my pharmacist, once I got to my senior year, I'd been interning in a pharmacy for 4 summers. My senior year, we got far enough in that the teachers said, "Go tell your pharmacist that you can now counsel patients." And I was so excited. So I go to my pharmacist and I say, "I can now counsel patients. What should I do first?" And she goes, "Oh, just read the bottle. That's what I do."
Oh, good.
And I was
Great.
like, "What? Are you kidding?" So that was it. So I dropped out of pharmacy school and I just did art classes my last semester, my senior year at Drake. And and then I ended up down in Florida working at a.com. So it was a very dis
Now, was that
discombobulated
the hand?
journey.
I know you interned at the Handyman online. I was trying to remember what it
Oh
was. It
my
was about it.
gosh. Yeah.
So was that just I needed an internship, or were you a handy woman?
I was not a handy woman. Nope. Just needed an internship. Yeah.
So I figured.
Yeah.
And then, you said you worked for .com. What was the .com?
So that was Handyman Online was the first one in Tampa.
Hmm.
And I was a marketing intern. And then I went to iBid USA, which was another .com. This was in Orlando.
Hmm.
And I was a marketing coordinator. So got a big bump up there. Um, yeah. And it was that it was, the excitement of going to work for I'm out of college. I'm now going to get a real job. I'm getting a paycheck. I'm getting money put into my bank account. This is amazing. So, guess what? I can go get a new car. I can go get new furniture for my apartment. I can do all the things that I think adults are doing and spending money on stuff that I, have always wanted to spend money on and make a home for myself.
Hmm.
And quickly realized that I didn't have I didn't do the math on how much money I was spending, how much money I was making, cost of living, and I also had a fiance at the time. He also wasn't doing the math, and and so we quickly ran out of money. We're totally in debt, and we decided. I called my mom in tears, and she's like, just come home, just come home. So 3 days later, we had, broke our lease at the apartment, packed up everything we had in boxes, shipped it across the country, and then drove our car back home to Seattle to live with my parents in separate bedrooms because
Of
when
course.
you're, yeah,
So, no sneaking around at night, right? At all.
no, no,
Um, so that had to had an impact on you, insights or whatnot for the future, I would guess.
yeah, hmm yeah, a lot of insights. One of them, I loved working. I was a quick study. I loved um, being at these .coms, and they ended up liking me and giving me more and more responsibility even quickly over the 3 months that I was at each of them. So um, I learned that I liked being in that environment. I liked working, and I liked learning and growing quickly and being in an environment that allowed me to do that.
Hmm.
That um, I think that was, I mean, when you're looking back on it now, I can see patterns, obviously, of that. That's what helped me be successful in life in any of the jobs that I did, whether I was working for somebody or I was an entrepreneur. Of I enjoy learning, I enjoy growing myself, I enjoy growing the business or whatever company I'm working for. I like being a good steward of that company and their brand. And so I think that this also relates back to sports as well, of like being very coachable, where because I was in sports for so long and worked with so many different coaches and was easy to adapt to whatever their styles were or whatever they were telling me to do.
Sure.
You check your ego at the door in a lot of ways because you have a coach that's yelling at you saying, especially when I got to Drake and I was a freshman, I'm the new person. I came from winning state championships to then all of a sudden I'm the low person on the totem pole. And I was starting shortstop and I had big shoes to fill, right? And I come in fall season and coaches yelling at me saying that I'm terrible and
Oh,
doing it right. And
good coaching.
so yeah, which is it's hard to take, and you just have to like try to listen to the stuff that you have control over. And
Yeah.
so um, I learned how to be a good teammate. I learned how to be, like I said, coachable. I learned discipline. I learned how to lose and also show up the next day and, you know, work just as hard as you did the day before when you lost. Um, so I think all of that helped me be successful in any job that I landed in. Um, and then I think there's also like being an entrepreneur. There's there's always a part of me that was, I'm not going to follow the path that everybody else thinks that I should follow. The, dropping out of college early, switching over to take art classes instead of sticking with the, pharmacy classes. Um, I've always kind of like had that a little bit of rebellious
No,
tendency in
yeah,
me.
I,
So
I get it. So was Microsoft entrepreneurial enough for you to be in a big company?
it was at times and it wasn't at times. And so I think when it was, I was settled and I was focused solely on the job that I had. And then when it wasn't, I would start to I invented a product when I was 25 because I needed to scratch that itch of like I need to create something. I need something that's my own. I need to like develop new skills because I wasn't developing as fast as I wanted
Hmm.
inside of Microsoft. And so I also had that pattern of like kind of like jumping in and out of being 100% in and not being 100% in.
Is this a softball invention?
The softball accessory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So really quick, what was that?
It was called Mate, and it was a neoprene wrap that went around the finger of a softball glove. And it started as a fun accessory to like decorate your equipment. And then it quickly turned into the parents would say, yeah, but what does it do? And so I had to come up with a function for it.
Hold it a
But
second. Hold it a second. You invent something
yeah,
and then you find the function for it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. My gosh, I learned so many lessons back then. But that's ultimately why I think it didn't work, is because if I would have stayed in the lane of like, this is just really cool because people thought it was cool, the kids thought it was cool. I think if I would have stayed in that lane, I probably could have done well. Or if I totally stayed on the function side, maybe it could have done well, but I was kind of like in between and I didn't know who I was selling to. I was trying to sell it to everybody. The the sports dealers that were selling to teams,
hmm
the the kids trying to make it cool, the parents because they would buy it for their kids. So
Yeah, it's
ultimately, it didn't work.
well, but it did because it served a purpose. I mean, if you want to compare to sports, most teams that win championships have first lost a championship and then they learned how to win the championship. So, and most entrepreneurs will tell you, and you know this, they've failed who knows how many times on
Hmm.
different things, already because you're probably not trying very hard if you don't fail anything, um,
Hmm.
type of thing. So, what do you think was maybe one of your most valuable experiences at Microsoft before getting into, founding companies and what you're doing now?
Hmm. There's a lot that come to mind. There's the uh, being at the Vatican negotiating with a priest about the secret archives.
What did you do?
Um,
Did you go, oh my God, we can't do that?
yes, yeah, that's a whole story there. But I think the most valuable was actually over a 4 year period where uh, I was on Bill Gates' favorite engineering team of all time, and I was on that team for 8 years. The first 4 years, we were all just trying to kind of like figure out how things worked. And
hmm
then the last 4 years, I worked with the vice president of engineering, and I was his chief of staff slash uh, principal program manager, where I handled a lot of the projects that didn't fall directly in line with one of his product teams. And he was a machine. The way that he operated, the way that he thought about things, the way he approached big problems. And I was just very fortunate to be able to work hand in hand with him for so long that the way that I approach things is so different than I feel like a lot of people outside of that environment, where we were a high functioning 3,000 person engineering team, and we were running 230,000 experiments a month there.
Wow.
So that was how my growth DNA was formed over that 4 year period. And so that was just profoundly formative for me and how I approach looking at anything in terms of how do you grow a business. It's not the typical way that you grow a business. It's almost like I'm a dyslexic in terms of you start over here and you do things this way versus starting on like the marketing side and doing it the way marketers grow businesses. So
Yeah, pretty fascinating. How did there's so much to talk about, but in LA we say keep them wanting more so we can do a sequel. So we may have to do that. But how did this all evolve to what you're doing now at 1010 Mindful?
mhm. The short story is I essentially, once I got out of Microsoft in 2014 and realized that nobody was growing businesses by doing a lot of experimentation,
hmm
then I developed a methodology to be able to run a lot of experiments quickly to figure out what the audience wants. And then once we know what the audience wants, then you build your campaigns and everything around that. So started developing that in 2015 and decided to teach everything I know. So instead of keeping that knowledge in house, I decided to train people. Here's how you do it. Here's how you do a lot of experiments. Here's how you grow your business using data from your audience, that sort of thing. Did that for quite a while, was in a 50-50 partnership with that company and went through some growing pains in terms of, we're both heading in different directions. We want different things for this company, and um, went through some challenging times on like how do you what do we do now, and like how do you separate and all that stuff. Long story short, I had started an agency to use this methodology or a derivative of it, essentially, to essentially focus on. I know how to grow businesses. What kind of footprint am I making in the world? What businesses am I choosing to grow? And and just being a lot more thoughtful about that. So 1010 mindful comes from, you know, exactly that. So we're working with conscious leaders, we're working with mission driven people. I went through a health challenge in 2020, which brought me closer to, alternative wellness, not just on Western medicine anymore. And so one of my favorite clients is an energy healer. And we've done amazing things with her to be able to propel her so she can heal so many more people in the world. And those are the types of things that I'm passionate about, um, and that drive me. I was on the phone with her and her team on Sunday for 3 hours because they had a big event coming up, and I was just checking myself on like, do I enjoy this? Do I want to do this? Should I be having somebody else on my team do this? And I'm like, I actually enjoy this. Like, I can't believe the impact she's about to have, and I get to be part of this. And so that's what brought me here to
Where does
1010.
1010 come from? Because some people would say, well, 2020 is perfect vision. Where's 1010?
That's a good question. Angel numbers for growth.
Oh, okay, cool.
So mindful growth. Yeah.
Mindful growth. It's fascinating because, we're one of the things we do aside from our executive search business is I'm a partner with Tower Capital and we work on generational health. In fact, they're the pioneers in generational health, which is a lot what you're talking about because it's got to be beyond the first, second, and third to the fourth generation to be really solid generational health, and it involves a lot of different things, science based, to make that happen. So it's fascinating how you're helping in that respect, and so many things that we've learned along the way that people still need to take into account, like meditation, as to what
Mm.
you're eating. And I saw an advertisement the other day. I couldn't believe it. They were selling in one commercial Frosted Flakes and what was the other sugar one? Frosted Flakes and whatever, Cocoa, some more with Fruit Loops, Frosted Flakes and Fruit Loops.
Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh.
You might as well just put the whole thing of sugar in your mouth and
Hmm.
go for it.
Hmm.
But when we were younger, at least my
Which is what
parents,
we did.
yeah, we
Yeah.
didn't, no one knew. Um,
Yeah.
in fact, I loved Frosted Flakes and
What
all
was your sugar cereal of choice?
that. Frosted Flakes was right up there. I did like Cocoa Krispies because I love chocolate, and
Uh-huh.
it was all about chocolate, but they were terrible for you, absolutely terrible.
So
Um,
bad. Yeah. Yeah.
Fruit Loops,
Frosted Flakes was a big one. Fruity Pebbles.
yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man, I would eat a whole box of that when I would go to my friend Sarah's house. A
Yeah.
whole box. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of stuff, a lot of butter, a lot of everything. But our parents didn't know, and the companies knew,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
but they didn't tell us. I got one more question to ask you in this part. With everything that's happened, we had COVID and all sorts of people, including yourself, sounds like had health stuff. And when health comes up, all the urgent stuff doesn't seem very urgent anymore,
Yeah.
type of deal. But with everything that's happened, and some people feel like COVID was still yesterday and years ago, all at the same time.
Hmm.
What are you most grateful for, and what are you most hopeful for?
Hmm. I love that question. The most grateful for, we're talking about health, so stay on that path. I mean, I'm grateful for health, and the reason why I'm grateful for health and that I have a chronic form of cancer, so it's called lymphoma, and my body can continue to produce cancer. I've done a lot of work to figure out how do I control it naturally, and in doing that, it's kept me out of having to keep going back to Western medicine for chemotherapy. So I can control it naturally. And so I walk anywhere from like 45 minutes to an hour and a half a day. And I live in Seattle, which is, in Kirkland, Washington. It's one of those beautiful cities, especially this time of year. And so when I say I'm grateful for my health, part of that is being able to go on these walks and to be able to experience nature. And,
Yeah.
this morning I was at the lake and I was watching a blue heron eating breakfast on the shore, and I was watching a bald eagle eating a fish in the tree. And
I was hoping you weren't going to say that he was that eating that and then the eagle ate him.
yeah, me too. That
That
would be
was close.
traumatic. That'd be so bad.
I know.
But my health allows me to do that, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. And then, what did you say most hopeful for?
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot shifting right now with humanity, myself included. I've had my own spiritual awakening just over a year ago, and I see the world differently, and I see other people not necessarily waking up, but just being more conscious and being more present and being more thoughtful of the people around them, even in, the chaos that we exist in where we're all so busy all the time and it's hard to think about other people. I still see people becoming better humans. Kind of like week by week, I see, little up shifts in people. And so I'm incredibly hopeful for that to continue, for myself to continue to get more conscious and to keep becoming a better human and to keep making decisions that are right for not just myself but for humanity as a whole. Um, and I'm hopeful that more and more people continue to make those decisions and trade-offs.
Well, we should follow dogs because they know what it's all about.
Dogs are the best.
They are the best. They're present all the time. They love to kiss you most of the time, and
Yeah.
there's a joke that goes around: if aliens are here, and they probably are, but if aliens are here and they're looking and they see, well, okay, let's see. They take the dog out, so it's they're accompanying the dog out. They feed the dog, so the dog gets fed by them. They poop, and the adults and the humans pick up their poop. I guess the dogs are in charge, basically. So that's what they think. But
Yeah.
I'm actually grateful and hopeful. Well, first of all, I'm grateful to have a new friend. That would be you. So hopefully.
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
also grateful and hopeful because you are a leader who cares about not just being here and doing whatever and being busy, but taking care of yourself and other people. And I truly believe that is what's supposed to be the number one thing happening, out there. Um, so thank you for being that. Thank you for being on the Leaders Who Care series. And I look forward to having more chats with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate that, and thank you for the kind words and the conversation. And I know there's a lot more that we could have talked about, including I think your grandma and my grandma are both in their 90s.
Right?
Yep,
My
longevity there. Yeah.
yeah, my aunt, like was like a second mom, is 98. Exactly. Good memory.
Oh my
Exactly.
gosh. Yeah. 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 Thank you so much. Appreciate being here.
My pleasure.